Hi, Dr. Johnson and fellow peers. My name is Jeanette Frias. I live in New York City with my husband and my two kids. We're trying to keep up with the holiday festivities. We have our tree up. We're trying to live in the Christmas spirit under this new COVID world. So I just thought to have a video with a beautiful Christmas tree as a backdrop would be very nice. I am right now I'm a program director for a charter school here in New York City. Previously, I was a kindergarten teacher. The program I have right now was kind of like an after-school program. Because of COVID, there has been a big shift in my role, and I'm now the director of a learning center. The Learning Center is a program for students who are still remote, but they come into the building to learn. And this is like a service for parents who are first responders, who who are store clerks, nurses, doctors, teachers, and they need to work and they need a safe place to leave their child in a school. So this is what I'm doing now. It's a very fulfilling job. It's a very hard job because I'm always constantly talking to parents who are in complete panic mode all the time because of COVID, but knowing that they go to work and their children are in a safe place in our school. Basically a school day, but they're still learning the remote, which means they're in school with us, in their laptops, on their iPads. Teachers are home, they're learning remote, and it's a typical school day. So this is going to be my role for a while because of COVID, which is fine. When things go back to normal, then I'll resume back to my program, which is an after-school program for boys. My special education, in my profession, I've dealt a lot with special education. As a mom, I'm also, I have an almost 12-year-old son with autism. So I'm very familiar with special education on professional and personal level. So I have lots of experience with IEPs, with BIPs, with assessments. It is a difference when you're in a professional level and a personal level, because in a professional you are the evaluator. In this case, I'm the evaluator, and for my son is someone else. So I always have to remove my professional hat and let another person do what they need to do in order for them to do what they need to do for my son. So it's always a big difference. I've been in education for over 20 plus years in different sectors, Catholic schools. Now I'm in a charter school. I was in a Jewish not-for-profit center for a few years. So I consider myself to be very well-rounded in these areas. When I worked in the non-for-profit YWHA, I was a counselor and a mainstreamer for children with Down syndrome, autism, and ADHD. When my role as a mainstreamer was, I used to just help them come into the community with supports, with a support system, whether it be the parents, us, friends. A lot of them were teenagers, a lot of them were preteens, so it was very hard to have those preteens going into teenagehood, because it was a lot of changes, a lot of very difficult changes that they didn't know how to feel, how to act, and we were there to help them. That feels like such a long time ago, but it was my very first experience in the special education field. As personal as a mom with a child with autism, and seeing other children with autism, it's hard to compare. That's my own personal information. I remember when my son was just first diagnosed, I used to compare him to the kids. Like, oh, he doesn't spin a pen, but my son spins a pen, or my son mutters or has echolalia, this child doesn't. So I had this terrible misconception that my son was it was a very bizarre thing, like my son had autism, but not to a certain level. And then once I started reading, I started realizing that autism was such a spectrum, that's such a vast disorder that there's no two things are alike. So that was my take, and that's what I had to learn. So In my current field, I do have children in my classroom with special education. Biggest challenge right now is IEP meetings because they have to be virtual. What are some of the major obstacles right now? Some parents don't have Wi-Fi, some parents don't have devices, some parents miss their meetings because of a lack of these resources. Excuse me. So the child gets pushed back, and the resources, which when the year expiration date comes on, we continue with the IEP. But if the child's progressed, we have to wait until we all meet in order to talk about those progress and how the mandates change. So I feel that we're doing the child a major disservice just because there are so many obstacles right now. This is my third to last course before I graduate. It's bittersweet. I'm nervous, mostly because I'm anxious. I'm anxious to get in the field where I can help children like my son and their families. I have a lot to bring. I have a lot to bring as a professional, as a mother, and hopefully as a student. I hope to share lots of information with all of you. I hope to learn from all of you. I wish you guys all the best, and until the next discussion.